Hey guys, how's it going? It's Tatiana. So this week's Tatiana show had a couple technical issues. We've been trying to improve the show and we tried out a new program, but unfortunately, I don't think they're ready for prime time. They deleted the first part of the interview. I think it's only about 5 minutes, so it's not terrible, but it's not great, and I'm sorry about that. We did decide to release the episode because I think this is kind of like an interesting thing that's going on right now. If you guys have been hearing about Gamestop, so I invited on Matty Greenspan, and he's going to tell us all about what the latest is. So enjoy this episode. Check out more episodes at thetatianashow.com. We usually put them out on Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays, and yeah, thanks. Bye.
Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto.
The function of the stock market is a method for value creation and allowing people to participate in that. So we have companies that they start out small and they grow, and people can put money and help, to contribute to help that company grow. And then in return, they get like a share of the company's profits. They get a little bit of a say in what the company does and things like that. So that's the stock market in general. Short selling is a process where if you believe the value of the company is going to go down, you can profit from that as well. So the basic way that it works is you call up your broker, or used to be you call up your broker. Today everything is done online, of course, and then the broker lends you the shares, and then later on you have to pay back the shares. So just think of it like this. So whenever you're investing, you want to buy low and sell high. So basically what you're doing is you're just doing it in reverse. You're selling high first, and then later on you're buying back the shares in order to cover your position. So of course on Wall Street, hedge funds and stuff like that, sometimes they get a bit predatory. Hedge funds are financial institutions that their main business is trading for the most part. I mean, their business is to make money in any way that they can, and for the most part, they're make up a large portion of the day-to-day buying and selling orders in the stock market. I don't think that hedge funds are any more or less evil, I don't know per se, but of course that's just kind of my opinion. I think that part of the stigma is because their day-to-day activity relies solely on trading. They're basically speculators in the market rather than helping, or a cog in that value creation agenda that I've described earlier. So they're just as happy to see a company get destroyed as long as they can make a quick buck, which is exactly what was happening with the case of GameStop and AMC. Basically, these companies, GameStop specifically was already being hammered by the retail apocalypse. They've been losing money for years. They're expected to continue losing money for the years to come. And then came COVID-19 and completely hammered them, right? So the specific hedge fund in question is known as Melvin, and Melvin saw this and they said, okay, we're gonna short their stock now, and they were basically selling the stock around $4, $5, $20 and stuff like that, and they think, okay, later on maybe the company will go bankrupt, the stock will be worth nothing, and then we make a bunch of money, right? Along came a community on Reddit known as Wall Street Bets. And a specific guy whose username is Deep Fucking Value, and he says, "Hey, wait a second! They've managed to short sell about 140% of all of the shares in GameStop, meaning there's only about 50 million shares of GameStop in the market, and they managed to short about 140% of them." Meaning there's more short interest than there is long interest. And they said, okay, so we have a potential scenario here where what we do, and then they came up with this plan. Okay, let's, as a community, let's buy the stock, and eventually Melvin's going to have to come in and cover their short positions. And instead of, Melvin buying back the stock for cheaper, they're going to have to buy it back for, $200, $300 a share. So they're out, basically billions of dollars on this trade.
Okay, so one of the things that's really confusing about this thing is why were they able to buy more shorts than were available? How is that even possible, right? Because that's what I've been hearing, that they bought more than was even on the market. So isn't that already a mistake? How is that a mistake that can even happen?
That's a really good question. I'm not entirely sure, to be perfectly honest. As I understand, it does happen from time to time, but I wouldn't be able to really comment on why it's happened in this case.
So is it the SEC that's looking into this?
So yeah, everybody's going to kind of look into this. This is, it's become a hot button issue. The question really, most people want to know is, will Janet Yellen be looking into it, who is the new Treasury Secretary, who recently received speaking fees in approximately $1 million from Citadel, who Citadel is the owners of Melvin. And basically, people are saying, well, she shouldn't be sitting on this case because she's in their pocket. So the question is if she'll recuse herself or not. We're still waiting for word on that.
I heard that Robinhood was not the only one that stopped the trading. Has this ever happened before? Well, actually, I guess that's a two-part question. Why is Robinhood getting all the heat? And is this something that always happens? Because it's so blatantly corrupt, in my opinion. I don't understand why this is. There's obviously a lot of outrage, but what is the likelihood that everybody's going to get away with this? Is this just par for the course for Wall Street and they just got caught this time?
Right. So this is pretty unprecedented situation on many fronts. We've never really seen something like this. It's not Robinhood who stopped the trading, but it was their liquidity providers, right? And the liquidity providers, of course, are the same people who are actually Citadel themselves, I believe. And it was kind of a muck-up. In any case, there's a guy named Ken Griffin who is a majority stakeholder in Robinhood, as well as he's the CEO of Citadel. So basically, he found himself on both sides of this trade, and the allegations are that basically he stopped the buy orders in order to push down the price by default. Of course, the CEO of Robinhood was several times. He's been on CNBC, and then he was on a Clubhouse talk with Elon Musk yesterday, and he's denying this. And what he said was that the liquidity providers had given them a very, very large number as far as the capital that they had to put up, something like $3 billion in order to preserve these positions. And then they later on negotiated that number down to about $800 million. So, first of all, I mean, it's an unlikely story, and I think that his comments, of course, bring up more questions than answered about exactly what went on behind the scenes here, because we really don't know. But the reason that Robinhood is getting so much flack about this is their motto that, open the financial markets to everyone and give everyone access. And then at a very critical moment, they failed at that task. But also, for not being upfront and honest about what happened. And it's very clear that whatever happened, it's not the CEO of Robinhood who's at fault here per se, but he won't really tell us who is at fault. And it's very clear that this whole situation is way above his pay grade, but we don't really know exactly what's happening. And of course, that's reprehensible.
Why do you think that Robinhood is the only one getting flack for it, though? Because from what I understand, a whole number of exchanges stopped the ability to sell.
Yeah. So, for example, I'm trading. Yeah, well, I don't. Well, here's the thing. I don't know that Robinhood even itself is going to get in trouble either. I don't think that anybody. I don't know who's going to get in trouble or why, because we don't really know what happened, what went on behind the scenes. I'm trading at eToro, and I received an email from eToro that said, "Look, our liquidity providers cut us off," in very nice words. We don't have the option here. We cannot give you what we don't have. We can't sell you what we don't have available to sell. So it's basically the people who, because the Robinhood and eToro, and they're basically a brokerage firm, and they provide an app that connects you to the market. But they're not actually holding on to the stock itself, right? So if you click the button to buy the stock, there's a whole bunch of things that happen in the background in order to put that stock into your account. Whether the stock is sitting in your account or not, of course, it's also going to be dependent on how the specific brokerage works as well. So the brokerage, the platform itself, is actually getting the stock from somewhere else, in this case Citadel, and then they just basically cut them off and said, okay, we can't give you that stock right now. You only have the option to sell, which raises, of course, even more questions. Is, wait a second, so why would you allow people to sell their positions if nobody can buy them, right? So basically, you're forcing the price down. Only allowing sell orders, it means basically the seller can name his price, and of course it goes down.
Okay. So what is the likelihood? Are we going to see any kind of arrest? I know that David Portnoy has been calling for arrests. This seems completely, totally rigged and out of control. I see you chuckling. Why are you chuckling? Do you not think that Dave Portnoy's assessment for blood is appropriate?
No, I believe it's appropriate. I don't know if it's going to happen, honestly. I mean, the entire 2008 financial crisis, which, is much larger than, what happened over the last few days at Robinhood, we still haven't seen any arrests. I mean, white collar crime in the United States just doesn't seem punishable in many cases. And it's a shame, but what are you going to do about it?
I mean, one of these days, I think the country's going to collapse, because why would anyone participate in the stock market at all if every time that they try and do something, they're basically, this must be shaking everybody's belief in the stock market, much more so than 2008 and 2009. We've had so many bad things happen since then, so much loss of faith in the country itself. Even in the voting process, half the people think it was rigged. And now you've got this huge impact to the stock market. Why would people continue to invest in the stock market? And does this offer an opportunity for crypto?
Yeah, exactly. So those are the correct questions to be asking. If you believe in a company, right, and you believe that the company is going to continue to grow, you want to buy equity within that company. And the crypto market, of course, provides a much more direct way to do that, which is much more transparent. So at the end of the day, I believe that a lot of people are going to realize this fact. And, we've already, in quantum economics, written up several reports where we're showing that this is basically the end result of this entire debacle is a loss of faith in those type of brokerage apps like Robinhood. And people can then come, or even the way that the equity and the positions themselves are set up, that this can be it will be done and is already being done much better through decentralized finance and things like that. So this is basically, for us, this is a catalyst for crypto adoption, and we'll obviously see how that plays out in the coming weeks.
What do you think about everybody shifting into Doge? Like, everybody went into Doge, and I'd like to know what your opinion is on the impact, because that seems lame. Why are you bothering with Doge? Like, go screw some hedge funds. If you're messing around with the crypto markets, like, who are you even screwing over there? That seems pointless, right? What's up with the Dogecoin pump?
That is, to me, that is the middle finger to the man trade, basically. Saying, screw you, I'm gonna take my money and I'm going elsewhere, right? is basically what it is. Doge specifically is a meme. It's funny. People relate to it, and it's all over TikTok. And Elon Musk is their former CEO, apparently. So I think that basically we had a situation where people were cut off from buying the stocks that they wanted to, so they just said, screw you, I'm going somewhere else. And that somewhere else was just Doge, because it's widely accessible and understandable to people what it is that they're getting involved with.
Well, I personally find that annoying, because I'd like people to buy Bitcoin instead of some dumb coin. Like, I'm glad that there's Dogecoin around. Like, ha ha ha, so funny. Because to me, I would think, all right, I'm like, if I was a hedge fund, I'd be like, yeah, take your little pennies to Doge instead of crashing everything else, which causes them much worse of an impact. And, I've been gleefully watching all of them, lose all their money, like the hedge funds and stuff. But in reality, isn't the hedge fund owner really representing like Main Street? Like, all these regular people are putting their money into hedge funds. So while those specific hedge fund company owners may go out of business and they'll cry for 5 minutes, then they get another job, what happens with all that money? Like, whose money is that's getting lost when they put the hedge fund out of business? Like, how does that work? Who's being affected there?
Well, to be clear, in the GameStop trade, there were hedge funds on both sides of the trade. This is largely being framed as, Wall Street against Main Street, but it's not really. I mean, that's not what this is about at all. The largest holders of GameStop stocks are, BlackRock and Vanguard, right? And some billionaire named Donald Foss, who I guess got really lucky on that one. He owns about more than 5% of GameStop stocks. So the fact that Reddit was even involved in this, I mean, of course, if you're a journalist, or somebody who writes about the financial markets, is a pretty picture to present to your readers. But at the end of the day, the fact that it's gone to ridiculous pricing is largely beneficial for many hedge funds, right? And Wall Street corporations. And I don't think that that's what Reddit was going for. I don't think that anybody, on Wall Street Bets, 2 months ago was saying, let's stick it to the hedge funds. We can kill them. And, it was more like we can make a buck here by doing it together. Right. And those shorts we're going to basically, we can force them to close those shorts. And we like the stock. Right. At the end of the day, they keep saying, we like the stock, because, what else are you going to say?
Okay. What's a stonk?
What's a stonk?
I've been seeing that everywhere.
It's a funny way to say stock. It's just a funny way to say stock. Yeah. I mean, it's the meme culture infiltrating here is basically what it is.
Okay. So is this battle raging on right now? Like, are they still trying to pump things? Today is what, Tuesday, February 2nd. Are people still doing this right now? And what's this whole silver move that I'm hearing about? I mean, are they still manipulating the market? Is it going to stop? Did they just say, well, they're not letting us buy, this is rigged, we're out of here forever? Like, what is the current status of the situation?
So just as you asked that question, the stock market did open, and we see GameStop now down to $150 per share. Some very good questions from and we have to also understand that while this is happening, the Wall Street Bets community on Reddit has also seen a population exchange, right? A month ago, there was, 2 million users on Wall Street Bets, and today there's 8 million. So they've basically, in the last week, 4x the number of people that are involved. And I don't assume that they're kind of going to be the same people here. But looking at Reddit today, what we see a lot of is, loss porn, which is a famous hallmark of the Wall Street bets, where people post their losses, sometimes in the thousands, sometimes in the tens of thousands, and rarely, every once in a while, you'll see somebody with a screenshot of losing $100,000, and they go, "I'm holding it to zero." The question here is Melvin out of their short position, because we'll never really know. There certainly are ways that they can hide their short position, but also we have to take into account that they may have entered more short positions near the top of the market, right? So those short positions that they had right at $20, when we're looking at the numbers, so there's a website that I've been watching called isthesqueezeclosed.com, and they're showing the overall percentage of short selling that happened on GameStop. But again, we don't really know what the numbers are like at the end of the day. So is Melvin out already? If they're not, then we can probably expect that they'll need to cover their shorts. Due to the media attention, I believe, this has kind of become a crusade. And there are people out there who are willing to die on this hill. And they're saying, look, I don't care what happens to the stock. I don't care, a lot of people sitting in profit even. And they say, look, I'll just hold it until it goes to zero because I want to stick it to the man. It's a funny way to trade, but it's happening.
Do you think that more people are going to start doing things like that? And why is that? I mean, it seems like the government's really, really interested in preventing that kind of manipulation, but they're okay with the other. I mean, how are we going to, as a society, continue to trust these jerks in charge? I mean, it just seems like America's completely falling apart. Because why would you believe in any of these institutions? It's such a joke. Do you think that we're going to see a different stock market, for example, take dominance in the world? Like, how is this going to affect global financial faith in the U.S.? Because everybody in the United States is pissed, but wouldn't somebody else be able to put their money, okay, forget crypto, but just into a different kind of market? Why would they keep doing that? I mean, I think we've touched on it otherwise, but are there, I guess, foreign implications? Are there security risks to the United States right now? I mean, it seems like China and the U.S. are beefing. What is the larger impact globally for something like this?
So in my humble opinion, the United States is broken beyond repair and has been for quite some time. I don't think that anybody can really come in and fix the way that the government works or the way that the stock markets work. In fact, I believe that it would just be much easier to start something else from the ground up. And that's basically what's happening within the crypto market, where, people, and it's been happening for the last few years, because this is not new. And certainly this whole situation kind of highlights some of the flaws, but those flaws have been happening for decades. And what we will see is a new kind of market, new kind of currency, because the U.S. dollar is in trouble right now, and people don't, a lot of people don't know it or realize, but the fact that the U.S. dollar is holding its value and not basically just falling off a cliff at the moment is a miracle. And I'm happy it's happening because, the collapse of the U.S. dollar would be very bad for many people. But it's still something that we've got to that we're keeping an eye on, and there are bigger things at play here than how Wall Street works. We just as far as I see, we just scrap it and move on. And the way that can happen is gradual. It is, Tatiana, because we do it gradually at first, and that's what's happening right now. So a new company that wants to raise capital at the moment has the option, rather than going to the stock market and the IPO or the VCs where they used to go, they can now go directly to the public, and that's been happening ever since 2017 when the ICO bubble. Of course, the public needed that slap in the face so that people could understand that there are risks involved when you're funding new companies that have, many times very little in invested credibility. And there are a lot of scams out there. So people now understand a little bit better how to watch out for those type of things. But for people who have that credibility, have a business model, and have an idea, can now go to a new market to raise that capital. And that is the innovation here. And that is the other than Wall Street.
Okay. So I asked about this before, but I'm not really clear. So why is everybody interested in silver now? Because silver is pumping. And I had read somewhere that the manipulation of silver is a whole different ballgame, because there are countries that have certain reserves against silver. But I thought that we were all off of the gold standard, and I didn't know that they just implemented the silver. So can you help me understand that a little bit better? What is the interest in silver, and is it any different than pumping up, GameStop?
No, the silver dynamic is a whole different ballgame. As we mentioned, the short interest on GameStop was something like 140%. There is no such short interest on silver. Silver is a much deeper market, and it's a much larger market. I think that one of the reasons they latched on to silver, people gravitated towards silver, because there was a short squeeze in silver about 40 years ago. In 1979, there were a few people who managed to corner the market in silver. But the makeup of the market of silver at that time was much different than the makeup of the market today. At that time, less than 3% of the overall supply of silver was for investment purposes. And the level of silver that was needed for manufacturing and production was much greater. Particularly, Kodak was using silver for their film, right? And that was a big product. So they figured out that if you took all the silver off the market, Kodak would actually have to raise their price. They would have to actually come and buy it from you. Today, there's a lot more scrap silver. There's a lot more silver sitting in vaults. There's silver everywhere. And there's a lot less of that demand from the production side. So there isn't really, you can't come to, it's not like you can come to Melvin and say, you've got to buy those stocks back right now. I'm the only one holding it, which is what Reddit is doing. You can't do that in silver, because there's nobody who's going to come and meet that demand. So in the end, what we saw was a social media craze, where people said, okay, we have the power now and we're going to use it to push pricing around. And it's a bit ridiculous. But it's a pump and dump, just a big pump and dump. And that's what's on the center of my board here, PND. That's basically what we saw is just a coordinated pump and dump. And Reddit did their best to disclaim it. They did their best to disown it. If you were watching Wall Street Bets over the last few days, they were saying silver it's not us. We didn't say it, but the media, they were all over it, saying this is from the Wall Street Bets. They read it. They moved their focus from GameStop. They didn't move their focus from GameStop till today, not from through the whole thing. They've been watching that GameStop stock, saying nobody sell.
But doesn't that mean that a pump and dump is legal? Because that's what it seems like everybody's doing, right? Like, am I missing something?
Intentionally manipulating pricing is not legal, no. Do people do it? Yes, all the time. Go figure.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is not making me have any faith in anything institutional regarding financial stuff. I don't know. This is very, very disheartening. What do you see on the future for crypto? Are we all going to just be driving around in Lambos? Should I postpone purchasing an apartment in Miami until my bags pump? What do you think is going to happen this year? Because last year we saw a huge jump. Can I buy Bitcoin again at 20,000? What's going to happen?
Should you hold off on a purchase? No. If you want to buy an apartment, buy your apartment. Honestly, investing should be done with money that is sitting in your bank account and you want to see it grow over the long term. pump and dumps are not investing. They're just kind of they're a good way to lose money more than make money, because you don't ever know who's going to, where the top is and who's going to be left holding the bag. And if you don't know the answers to that, then probably the answer is you. So the way that
I would say that Bitcoin is a little different, though. I mean, Bitcoin is a little bit like you're thinking about what the financial world looks like and where can people actually put their money right now, right? I feel like real estate maybe is safe. Bitcoin is safer because I think the US dollar is a bad place. It's actually an unfortunate place to be in as a person that doesn't really know about all these investment opportunities, because how do you know, right? Like, I know about Austrian economics and I know that you're not supposed to just print dollars endlessly. So that's why I would pick Bitcoin. So I think maybe we're conflating the two things, right? The pump and dump is one thing, but putting money into crypto seems logical at this point. I mean, where else can you put it? What do you think?
So 6 million people in the last week joined Reddit in order to make a quick buck because of misconceptions about what a stock market is. And I think that it's good that we started this on how stock markets work and what their intention is, because a lot of people seem to be not understanding that. And if you think that, you're going to come in and, triple your money, quadruple your money in the span of a week, it's not going to happen. That just doesn't work that way. And if you have those type of expectations from the beginning, you probably will lose all of your money. Okay. So the way that we invest is we find companies or assets or things that we believe have potential to grow in value over time. And that's where we place our money. And then we sit on it. We don't sit there and in, out, in, out, in, out. You can do it. But every single time you go in, you're paying a fee. Every time you come out, you're paying a fee. And every single time that you make a trade like that for the short term or use leverage or things like that, you're increasing the chances that you're going to end up losing your money. So with Bitcoin, right, it's a long-term bet saying that I believe that over the next few years, the price of Bitcoin will rise faster than, the US dollar, or at least in relation to the US dollar. And anybody who got into Bitcoin in, late 2017, will tell you it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, right? You can lose your money. But if anybody who held through 2018, right, and is still holding till today can explain very simply that it's a long-term play.
Okay. So how do people navigate this right now? So you have your company. Tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing, because you've been making these kinds of assessments. Are you there to help the average person? Are you there to help financial institutions? Tell me a little bit about what it is that you guys are doing over there.
So easiest way is to come and explore our website. We have a wide range of financial services. The number one thing that I would say is come and subscribe to our newsletter, because that's where I'm putting all of my investment thoughts and theses. And of course, you'll see all of the work of our team there as well.
What's the link, real quick?
It's quantumeconomics.io.
Okay.
So we do a lot of research and analysis, and we put out these type of reports when things like this happen. But also when things like this don't happen, just to say, okay, where are the exciting things and the investment opportunities within the market? We also do advisory, of course, so we're helping startups, who are in their early stages, to kind of shape their business, model. And of course, we do money management as well. We have a number of clients that are kind of private clients. For the average investor in the United States, I would say you can come on our website. You'll see there's a link to copy me on eToro, which is basically a copy trading app where you have some extra money that, well, first of all, of course, always you don't invest more than you can afford to lose, that you can just park it there. And then, over time, we hope to continue to make it grow.
Okay, cool. So what do you think is a good buy for the new year? Like, everybody's a little bit confused. And do you think that real estate, still people are still buying real estate, right? It seems like the stock market is super sketchy. You'd have to have a really high risk tolerance. everybody should have a little bit of Bitcoin, which is, I guess, not financial advice. I don't know why I have to say that. Who the heck would ever like fully believe me on that? But yeah, what do you think? Like, what do you think is going to be a safe bet for the new year? Do you think it's consistently changing? Do you think that some of those old principles that say, for example, put your money into gold, right? But people say that the gold market is really manipulated, and they say the same thing about silver. So where should people put their money? What do you think is like a safe bet?
So as far as investing in gold and silver is concerned, your best bet is going to be physical, right? You can buy coins or even bars of gold and silver. And I mean, that's one of the things that was in the news lately, is that a lot of people are going to gold and silver. And it also helped fuel that whole pump and dump on silver, because the suppliers had recently ran out of supply for silver coins, and that was all over the news as well. But of course, that happens all the time, and people just don't know about it, because it's not really particularly interesting to the average person that they don't have they theoretically cannot go in right now and buy a silver coin on the internet. Basically, the suppliers, they don't hold a large stockpile full of silver coins. They have to actually order that. Those silver coins are made, minted, and then sent out to their buyers. So whenever there's a large spike in demand, those supply lines tend to dry up. To answer your question, Tatiana, a key principle to investing, especially if you're new to the game, is diversification. Diversification basically means not to put all of your eggs in one basket. So yes, you can hold Bitcoin and Ethereum. You can invest in Dogecoin if you like. If you think it's going to $1, that's great. You're laughing, but it can happen. I mean, weirder things have happened. I've never thought that I'd see Dogecoin at a penny, but here it is. And
I just wanted to, like, I want that to flow into Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Like, come on, guys, focus.
But the market doesn't, unfortunately, doesn't work according to your whims. It doesn't care what you want. Yes, exactly. It took me a while to figure that one out too. But when you diversify your holdings and what you're investing in, you're greatly reducing your risk. And by holding many different things, so if one of your investments goes sour, which will inevitably happen, it doesn't endanger your entire life savings or your entire portfolio. And that's really the key here.
I know a lot of people that are 99% in Bitcoin. Do you think that there is another kind of thing that people are investing in as obsessively? I mean, most people I know are literally 99%, and that completely destroys the diversification concept. Do you think that we're all degenerate gamblers, or are people involved in any other kind of stock market where they're just so zealot? Like, we're like religious zealots. So do you think that happens anywhere else? Have you seen it anywhere else?
Well, I wouldn't advise having all of your wealth in Bitcoin per se. Mm-hmm. But also it's a lot smarter than I think many other investment theses that I've seen. We'll put it that way. The question is, and people are asking a very binary question: would I rather hold Bitcoin or dollars in my bank account? And if that's the question, then a logical answer would be Bitcoin, right? And that just, a lot of people come to that conclusion. But of course, the question isn't binary, right? You can hold many different things. And as somebody who's been involved in financial markets for most of my life, that's the way that I look at it. Is that you don't have a question of, do I hold Bitcoin or do I hold US dollars? You can hold Bitcoin, you can hold US dollars, you can hold stocks, you can hold commodities, currencies, whatever you like. There's so many different options. Why limit yourself?
Okay, I like it. I don't know. I'm bullish. I'm feeling good about the new year. we should probably wrap it up, but I want to let people know where you are. How can they connect with you? They can follow your trades on eToro. We talked about that actually a while back. So if they don't know how to trade, I think that seems like a good way to base it, right? So what else? How else can they connect with you?
Yeah, at quantumeconomics.io, and you can subscribe to the newsletter there. I'm also available on Twitter and LinkedIn. If you have any questions, just tag me and I'll be right there for you.
All right. Thanks, Maddie, for joining us on the Tatiana Show. We'll see you all next time. If you like this show, check it out, like it, subscribe it. And also we have a relationship crypto show. So it's like love and crypto. That's like, I want to go on that. No, he doesn't. No, we're trying to encourage like not just a financial focus. Oh, I'm not, no. I meant like you could talk to people about how you balance it. Because I think that's something that people don't really take into account. If you have a long-term business, you have to factor your family into it. I think a lot of people in crypto go a little bit OCD and then they don't pay attention to their family. It's nice to see that you've got yours around and, you get to see them on your lunch break and stuff. So that's nice. That's the kind of thing that we're encouraging.
I had the option. Yeah, I have a guest room back there, which I had the option to say, okay, do I want to set up shop here in the middle of the house or in the guest room? And ultimately, and I know it would be much nicer for podcasts like yourself and others who have me on frequently, to have that kind of noiseless environment. But for me, if I'm at work, I can this way I can keep an eye on my kids and be much stronger integrated with my family. So for me, that's where I find my balance. Managed to get a good night's sleep last night for the first time in forever during the week. I don't, that never happens. Like always, there's either kids or the markets or something is happening. But that's what the weekends are for, right?
Well, I'm happy that you guys are finding a way to be together, even though the world is a little bit tumultuous. And we'll check back in with you another time. Thanks so much for all these great insights. I'm going to send this to all my friends and family that are asking me, what is this Gamestop stuff? Hopefully it's something that they can follow along with. And yeah, thanks for making it accessible for everybody and giving us these, great tips and tricks. All right. Thanks, Maddie. We'll see you next time.
What's the point of all this technology without a little love in our lives? Our hosts, Tatiana Moroz, Dr. Stephanie Murphy, and Lauren Kasovitz, have come together to bring you Proof of Love. Go to proofoflovecast.com. The Tatiana Show has been brought to you by CryptoMediaHub.com, a boutique marketing and PR agency for Bitcoin and beyond.
Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto. We gotta think and reflect and use lots of intellect with our hearts when we work together. I know that it can be so hard out there, looking all around and saying that life ain't fair. So that is why we will fight and stay up late at night, listening to the Tatiana Show.
Thank you for listening to The Tatiana Show. Please follow us on Twitter at Queen Tatiana or on Facebook and Instagram at Tatiana Moroz Music. More episodes can be found at thetatianashow.com, and make sure you leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends. You are listening to The Tatiana Show. This show may contain adult content, language, and humor and is intended for mature audiences. If that's not you, please stop listening. Nothing you hear on The Tatiana Show is intended as financial advice, legal advice, or really anything other than entertainment. Take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Oh, and if you're listening to us on an affiliate network, the ideas and views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of the network that you're listening on or of any sponsors or any affiliate products you may hear about on this show.